ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. Today we have some great young folks into the IT business, and they're going to educate us on IT and all the different technologies that they deal with when it comes to the young folks. How we're going to move Liberia, how technology is very vital to the development of not only Liberia but the world, the global economy. Everything that we talk about surrounds tech. Even as we speak, Ms. Weeks is chiming in from Liberia, from Duporo in particular. She's using high tech. Ms. Weeks, we know that it's raining, the weather is bad, so we would come and accommodate you if you go in and out. We're going to have our other panelists. We're going to go around the room. Everybody's going to introduce themselves. Tell us what is it about you, what you do, and how passionate it is about the topic that we are discussing, how you got involved. So let's start with Raquel. Raquel, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you are, and why is IT so important to you?
Thank you so much, Mr. Gaiman. Greetings, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Live from Atlanta, Georgia. My name is Senarti Raquel Yedia. I'll be your co-host this evening, actually. But technology to me is everything. We live in a modern 21st century world, and we're currently in all ways expanding our minds through technology. They says Jim Morrison, it's a quote, he who controls the media controls the mind. And that always stuck with me. Technology is super important to me because it's the future. And seemingly we're living in the future. So I'm glad to be here, and I'll definitely look forward to this conversation.
Thank you very much. Ms. Weeks, welcome from the Republic of Liberia. Introduce yourself, what is it you do, and why this topic is so important to you.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Massa Weeks, and I am the founder and CEO of Girls in Technology Liberia. So I also obtained my master's degree from Obafemi Awolowo University in software engineering. And in today's world, IT is very, very important, and especially in the various aspects of modern life. So it helps us to communicate effectively. It also gives us access to information easily and a lot of what IT does. So that's what I'm into it.
Great. Before I go to Mr. Gibson, please do us a favor and share the show in your network, through your network, like all your friends and family, and those who are interested in IT in your network. Let them all listen. We will be able to take some calls if possible. We'll definitely fill some comments in our comment section. Mr. Gibson, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Hello to all the Liberians around the world. My name is William Gibson. I am currently serving as a program manager for trust and safety for the social media side of IT. I work for Facebook and Instagram within that realm. I've been there for about 3 years. I am originally from North Carolina, but currently I reside in Austin, Texas. I'm looking forward to this conversation and sharing a little bit more about my understanding of the IT and the role that it plays in the bigger picture when it comes to Africa, the continent as a whole, of how it's growing. There's a lot of things that can be done within the IT sector specifically to empower the youth, to empower our nations, to advance the agendas for us to grow economically. So I'm looking forward to this conversation, getting down to the root cause and how we can find a solution to some of these issues that we're facing in Liberia, and also to shed light on what is actually being done in Liberia as well. So looking forward to the conversation overall.
Great. Mr. Tingba Jr. just came in. He's trying to get situated. Can you hear me, Mr. Tingba? Tingba. Oh, he's muted. Okay, so while he's getting adjusted, let's go to my co-host here. When we talk about IT, like I like the term you use is an ecosystem. It is that it's not just one piece of technology, it's a combination of a slew of technologies coming together for that you call the ecosystem. Educators tell us what is the IT and what is the ecosystem, because when you say echo, I'm looking at like the Amazon, tons of millions of species working together to make it look greenery and productive. I want to assume that's what's happening here when it comes to IT. Tell me the Amazons of IT. What is it that it make up the ecosystem of the IT?
Well, I'll give my perspective, but like I said, that aerial, not my area. I'm more so private sector entrepreneurship, but it's a good spinoff, right? Personally, I feel like the ecosystem of IT, it's a combination of everything. It's very integral to technology, social media. When you talk about your products, products are, absolutely very critical to the facilitation and evolution of technology. So products and transfer of products and inception and ideation, actually seeing from concept phase to actually growing and seeing how that's going to move towards, actually having a product. Is it sustainable? Is it viable? Is it something that we can all adapt to? It's something that can definitely I guess you can say, be of significance and be of impact worldly, right? Not just in the US, but on a global standpoint for us to actually thrive. Is it disruptive? Can it make impact in each and every sector? So when we talk about an ecosystem, I feel like that it plays an integral role in our ecosystems in our everyday lives to actually grow and impact, whether that's through business or trade or commerce or just our daily lives. So that's what's needed for us to thrive in an ecosystem of technology, in my perspective. So I'll leave it.
Excellent.
I'll leave it to the professionals here, my techies.
Great.
When you talk about
Miss
ecosystem, Masa, as a lady, in your perspective, what is that ecosystem of technology to you? What does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah, so when you talk about especially firstly in the context of IT, ecosystem have to do with the interconnected of networks. So you have the networks joined together, you have the software, the applications, the data services that works together to provide a complete integrated IT solutions.
Awesome, awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Real quick, Willie, can you hear us? Uh,
Yes, of course. I'm hearing you guys.
okay, I see you having some technical problem going in and out. Introduce yourself real briefly. We are talking about where we went over this, but we'll give you a chance to introduce yourself to the public.
Okay. Well, my name is Woody Bitingba Jr., digital rights advocate, founder and president for the Liberia Information Technology Students Union, student organization that is devoted exclusively to the needs of technology education in Liberia. And also, I'm the founder of the Liberia Computer Society. Thank you.
Great. Mr. Gibson,
Yes, sir.
when she talks about the ecosystem in a Liberian sense, I'm sure those of you who are very young and brilliant want to see what you want to let's say apply what you learned abroad here in the Liberian sense. She's addressed it from the entrepreneur spirit or what she thinks or what she knows and how it's going to work. You an IT person, you're an IT guy, you eat, drink, smoke, do whatever it is you do with IT. That's what we are. What do you see IT in the Liberian sense?
So when we talk about the IT system as a whole and the ecosystem that you want to design, you have to keep in mind that when you talk about an ecosystem is how can we link certain things together to work for the greater good, right? How can we link these things together to make sure that we're creating a harmonious uh, energy or synergy for that matter, right? So when we talk about all of that is a lot of things that goes into creating that ecosystem. It can't just be a specific group of, IT people. It has to be a lot of stakeholders that come to the table to really link
Mhm.
everybody together to overall solve this issue and simplify the lives and improve overall the efficiency and understanding of how IT specifically plays a role within the larger picture, whether it's on the finance side on the agricultural side, which is something I know we're going to dig much
Um,
deeper into. But there's a lot of linkages within IT that people don't necessarily think about because you're not in that specific sector. But it's a lot of things that
mhm.
links and creates this ecosystem overall. So when we talk about an ecosystem, we talk about a collection of appliances and devices that will work together harmoniously to ensure that ultimately the greater good will be to simplify the lives of the people.
My co-host, you want to address Willie?
Willie or William? Which one? Willie?
Yeah,
My
Mr. Tinker.
question, yeah, Willie. So definitely, just to kind of piggyback or echo everybody's question, what do you think the tech ecosystem um, is essentially, and how that plays an important role in the tech ecosystem in Liberia, more specifically? So, tech. What do you think that tech ecosystem is, and then more so, the evolving ecosystem in Liberia?
You are muted.
I think tech ecosystem has to do with alignment of all of our knowledge-based economy, linking it with technology. So, for example, you have agricultural activity, linking agricultural activity with technology, having educational activity, linking with that of technology. So, for Liberia, Liberia is a developing country in terms of technology. So, where we see the issue of knowledge base is lacking, I think tech ecosystem going to bridge the gap. The gap in terms of uh, capacity development, the gap in terms of tech engagement, and that of the entrepreneurship engagement. We have one institution in Liberia currently that is running a fair of entrepreneurship activities and tech activities, that is our campus. And our campus alone cannot bridge the gap that we're talking about. So I think if we can have a national ecosystem, mind you, not many people that have the skills. IT is not about degree. IT is about certification, and certification gives you the hands-on. So how many people, how many institutions are having Liberia that give out the hands-on training within the IT space? So I believe that having a tech ecosystem in Liberia will help to bridge the gap in terms of skills, in terms of knowledge base and business needs. So thank you very much.
Great.
Beautiful.
Real quick, Miss Weeks. I understand that
Yeah.
you were into, or you are a software developer. He talks about e-campus and all of these things. What do you see as a software developer that you bring to the table to actually help alleviate some of those issues at the different universities, different colleges, and in fact, high schools?
Yes. So now that you talking about education in technology also. So it's like the software solving a problem in the education sector. So being a software developer or so, we can be able to develop a software for schools where the schools can be able to use the software to process admission easily for students, and students also can be able to register using that system with no stress, and also pay their tuition easily as well. So the system will be able to solve that problem, time consuming problem for the university, and also be able to access students in rural areas or far away from the university, that people can be able to register online. So it also solves problems in education sector, like you said.
So I also wanted to come in,
So
Mr. Gaming, real quick.
currently to add to Massa,
Go ahead.
I think the issue of e-learning or alignment
Mm-hmm.
education with technology have already been solving problem in Liberia. Like
Okay.
years we had the University of Liberia students doing physical registration and the traditional registration. So with that, it used to be time consuming. The student wake up 5 o'clock a.m. to go and do registration, and it would take like 3 weeks or 1 month to have a registration be done. But now with the emergence of the e-portal, or students can sit at
Mm-hmm.
their house and do that registration in real time. You can see that
Yeah,
grades in real
sure.
time any part of the world. So that alone will help to mitigate the issue of time consumption that we talked about. So technology can bridge that out of the gap solve the problem within the educational sector. Thank you.
Yeah, so another thing is there is this same software for school. What I also developed for Girls in Tech is a school management system. So with this system, you find out that the lecturer can sit aside or far away and be able to create his lesson and also create tests and also get a live class online where students can sit and you just need data in your phone to be able to log onto the site and have your class going on. So like the school management system will definitely solve a lot of problems, not just students, but also attendance, HR, attendance, finance, records keeping, and lots more.
Great.
That's
Co-host,
that's
go ahead.
that's so beautiful. And thank y'all so much for being here again. I wanted to actually speak to that, and maybe anybody can jump in here to answer this question. But first, before the question, I wanted to actually state the importance of the frameworks and the models that are actually used to develop these programs, develop the programs, and to develop the courseworks. So, like, obviously, there's systems and protocols that have to be implemented, and you talk about that from like a policy level. That's like a whole nother conversation. But more so on like the actual development and concept phase, that's super important. And we see this being like super important when in terms of like globalization and actually being able to evolve and be sustainable. My question to you all is, how important is a duplicatable framework, like a duplicatable system that can stick, for example, to teach our young people? If there's a system or an e-module class or course or something that was created in conception, how important is that for our students to learn with that model and be able to grow and adapt with that model that was created, or that protocol, in terms of sustainability?
Ms. Weeks, you want to take a crack at that?
I'm not really getting her clear because of the network is cracking. So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know
I'll
whether you
I'll
could come
I'll
again.
say it again. It's okay. How
Well, no, but
how would
let's hear Mr. Gibson got that. Mr. Gibson, did you get that
oh,
question?
it looks like he's
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So from my understanding, you said how can students utilize this,
The
the
network is
ecosystem or
bad.
the
I'm not even
or the
hearing.
right, the internet system. How can students really utilize it, and for us to duplicate it and continue to have it not die
yeah.
out? Is
So
that what I'm
if
understanding?
there's some, like, for example, if there's like a e-module course or training or system that was
Hmm.
created, like
Hmm.
you know, how important is sustainability to those students in ICT or tech? If they're young students growing in grade school, or high school students or middle school students, how important, if you, let's say you develop that, you're a developer, you're in dev, you develop that product or you develop that e-module, how important is sustainability, especially
Okay.
in our country of Liberia? How important is sustainability for that e-module to actually get people to grow with that, program or whatever it is? Because that's, I feel like that's important. Maybe I'm not articulating it right as I should, but me coming from a developer
Oh,
point of view, how important is that to have that product or program be able to last long and be sustainable for the success, to ensure the success of our students, whether that's grade school students to get them adapted to technology, or if that's middle school students, or that's high school students, or even college students, or even students in vocational schools? How is it
Exactly.
from a general standpoint?
Okay.
oh,
So first and foremost, I want to start by, at least for our listeners who might not know, the acronym ICT, right? When we talk about ICT, it's Information and Communications Technology. So right then and there, by identifying that alone, we understand that information is equally as important as communicating that information, right? So it goes hand in hand. That's another thing when we talk about ecosystem, those things go hand in hand with one another. So, in terms of sustainability and ensuring that students are aware of some of these things, it's very important to start at the basic level. Even if a student is able to access Facebook, right, or Instagram or any of these apps, a student needs to understand that that's the social media side of things, right? But when it comes to understanding every part of, let's say, how to properly communicate certain software or something, if you're trying to understand how software works and things like that, IT and ICT as a whole is very important for it to be taught in schools, right? When we talk about, let's say, probably at the elementary level, at least understanding how to use a computer, because a lot of us who are in certain parts of the world who have been blessed enough to be able to use some of these things, we take it for granted. I think starting at the lower levels, K through 12, at least teaching a student how to interact with a computer, a certain part of computer, what is this, what is a modem, what is a mouse. All those things are very important. I know when I was coming up in school, K through 12, and especially within the elementary level, those things are very important because that's the developmental stage.
Yeah.
You're supposed to learn some of those things, the basics, when it comes to how to operate any machinery. So when it comes to the IT side of things, there needs to be more implementation of some of those things, if not at the elementary school level, maybe at the junior high level or the high school level before you get to a college level program. And ultimately, it also sparks that conversation within a student or a passion within a student to want to pursue IT long term, right? So when you introduce your children to some of these things, it creates that sustainability, and it won't die out, because a child is going to want to go ahead and learn these things and continue to add to the value of what's taking place. That way, softwares like how to register for a program or a class online, right? I know during COVID, University of Liberia decided to implement an online module to, pretty much, adapt to the changing times. So when we talk about those things, that's how you can practice sustainability,
So,
not just do it when it's in the middle of COVID-19, but doing
yeah,
that
so
all
One,
throughout.
one, one second,
yeah,
Willie. 1 second, Willie. 1 second.
Wait a 1 minute.
I wanted to let William finish, but after William, I wanted to pass it back to my sister, my
yeah,
good
I
sis
wanted to make a
Masa,
point.
right?
I wanted to
Because
make a point
Yeah, go
to
ahead,
yeah,
Willie.
get, yes, Lonti will get to your question, we'll respond to your question, but we don't make a point, and I think it is important. I think we can only achieve that wherein you have people in high school, junior high, elementary with that basic IT knowledge. When we decide to have an IT curriculum, if a policy can be drafted by the Ministry of Education, wherein it's mandatory that IT be taught in school, same as you have French, you have mathematics, you have geography, IT, there should be a curriculum that IT should be taught every high school, even in university. Among the required courses for people who doing accounting, required courses for people who doing economics, IT should be a
yeah,
required course for that as well. With that, we will have people graduating from college without basic idea, basic knowledge in computer science. It would interest you to know that people, someone that graduated with a bachelor's in economics, they cannot even boot a computer. They cannot even work in Word as a PowerPoint in Liberia. So I think if there is a curriculum that is being drafted by the Ministry of Education, trust me, you'll have people finding interest. The reason why people debunk the online registration system that was built for UL, because even the instructor didn't know how to use it. Then how would the students get to use it? The instructor they didn't know how to use it. So the fight up comes, there should be a foundation, and the foundation starts with the Ministry of Education, where you have an
Exactly.
IT curriculum being drafted. So thank you.
And
sure.
can I
Beautiful.
say one thing
Okay.
before Masa jumps in?
Okay, please do.
Yeah, go
Just to
ahead.
add on, I'm so sorry, Masa. Just to add on to what Willie said just now, right? When we talk about that sustainability, right? It's very important for the very professor that's sitting in that classroom to know how to use those tools, right? Especially if you're talking about having to transform a system to where we're not just relying on paper. We have to rely on the internet in this IT ecosystem we find ourselves in. Is you have to adapt. You can't have professors who don't know how to even say upload certain courses, assignments, and things to online for students to access it. So all those things are very important for not just the student to learn, but for the professor to also sit through a course in order to have a certification to be able to teach a class at a university library or any private institution for that matter. I think that's very important. But Masa, you can go ahead.
Absolutely.
Massa,
I wanted to just spin it back
Yeah,
to you,
so
Masa, and return
hold
it
on
back
one
to
minute.
you
okay.
because I
So
know that,
as a
Hold
yeah,
on, Massa. Let me throw a little caveat there for you to address it because I know your data is running. Let's look at the evolution of technology in Liberia, and give us some the challenges, the opportunity that exists in Liberia. So address those things while you do that.
and before Mr. Gaiman, I actually wanted to kind of put an introduction to what Masa kind of like have her expand on what she does for girls in
yes,
technology because when we talk
so
about right
that's
when
where
we
I
talk
was
about
coming.
inclusiveness starting from young, I think that it's really imperative that we talk about these systems within the sustainability factor. So Masa, if you can talk about that, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Listen, the reason,
firstly,
excuse me, Massa, the reason we have not got to that is because it's number 8 on the list here. That's why we are going chronological, build it up to that. But go ahead.
yeah, so let me just come into the sustainability aspect. As a developer first and tech giant, you should know the software, especially when it comes to Liberia. You should know the kind of software to develop for your people because you know their strength in technology. And like my brothers were saying, from high school, like most of the students, they don't even know how to use computer. Before you, the software developer will go and develop a software that is not even user friendly, that students will be finding difficulties in using these softwares. So from high school levels, if students are learning computers in high school, aside from computers, let's say if you the software developer develop a software for the high school, and I don't think it's a high school student should use that software for now. I think it's the administrator that working with the school should be able to use those softwares to be able to upload students' grades and register students and do a lot more. And I show the car accounting softwares that they are even using, like QuickBooks and a lot more that they are even using. So if they are using that and then looking at the students not going into computer now, not learning some small computer skills, know how to move the mouse, the keyboard, that is a challenge. Graduating from high school, that's where Girls in Tech comes in and see that most of the students that have graduated from high school don't know how to operate on the computer. You find out that entrants coming at university and they put it online, they are looking for people to be able to help them register. They don't know how to use that system. So if at Girls in Tech, if you come there, we start you from with the basics to learn how to use the computer and to know how to use Microsoft Office Suite is a package that when you enter into the university, you can be able to use it to do your thesis, your assignments, and now you'll be able to give it to somebody else.
Bernard, the question was, you can address that too. The evolution. How far have we gone? What are the opportunities? What are the difficulties as a developer on the ground?
Yes, so the difficulties as a developer is you should be able to know your platform, the people that you're working with, the people that you want to develop for, the software that you want to develop for these people that want to use it. So let's take, for example, you go to the high school and then you go to the students and say that, okay, you are developing the software that these students should be able to use and they don't have basic computer knowledge. So right now, the technology level in Liberia is a little bit low that people don't have the vast knowledge on that to be able to operate on a system. So it's very challenging you as a developer to develop a system where people don't know how to use. And if people don't know how to use that system, definitely they will face challenge in using systems that you will create. And
Willie. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, man.
Yes, please. Let me address Clotty question. Uh, in software development, for example, for the country of Liberia that have series of challenges in terms of that have to do with electricity, internet connectivity, and the lack of awareness or education about this various software. So that's the reason why, as a developer, you do your feasibility analysis before you can develop your
Yeah,
feasibility
sure.
analysis. So in your feasibility analysis, you have the operational analysis, you have the technical analysis, and the economic analysis. So within that, if you build it for the community, you know that people within the community have the level of knowledge to the software. If you build it for the
Mm-hmm.
community, you know that these people in the community have the level of understanding within the software. So if you build a
Mm-hmm.
system for or sustainable purpose in Liberia, you build a hybrid system. And a hybrid system wherein, okay, if this lecturer is lecturing somewhere there in the rural part of Liberia, a remote place where there is no internet connectivity, to upload in real time, meaning that system can be used offline, wherein you can
Offline,
punch your
yes.
data, you punch all of your information. Once you reach to Maruda where internet access is, or where you have access to internet connectivity, you can upload the information
They
in
can
real time.
upload that.
With that,
Yeah.
you have the issue of sustainability can be done. So I think awareness and education should be one of the feasibilities within building a system for Liberia. I think that can help us to have a sustainable system for the country. Thank you.
Let me go to Raquel. Raquel, here, you the businesswoman here. Okay, when I was the CEO of the United Way, when we're giving out major grants, we're looking for business people like you who identify gaps within the system. From what I'm hearing here, this is an opportunity for you to be the next Zuckerberg of Liberia. There's so much gap when it comes to information technology, basic literacy in computer. You could make $1 billion here if you could transfer what these people are talking, package it into a business form, and go into the rural area, develop something that would be able to cater to the folks using maybe solar technology. The young man talked about, Willie talked about power, using solar technology to go down to the ABC level. When you talk about high school, it's kind of late. So in this country, and you know that those of you who have children, if you don't, the children here have been introduced to computer tablets at pre-K when
Mm-hmm.
at 4 years old. So when you talk about high school, they are like gurus in anything already. So as a businesswoman, what gap are you seeing, and what can you do to fill some of these gaps? Because there's a lot of ways to make money in Liberia based on what I'm hearing.
Yeah, sure. I think from my perspective at least, it's investing in early childhood education, like you just said. Like I think everybody alluded to that. Investing
Mm-hmm.
in starting with our young children. If that's in grade school, I think overall, early childhood education and then secondary education, of course. And because you know that you're not going to get necessarily a yield at that point in time, you're thinking ahead and you're playing the long game. And I think the private sector, accounts for most of that. You also have to look where there's reward, there's definitely risk. So it comes with, of course, doing your risk analysis, doing your due diligence, finding out what the economic opportunity zones are through each of those phases from early childhood education, middle school, middle education, secondary education, college, and then and then from on vocational training school to see if that's something that you really want to do to play that long game. Because in the end, of course, it's very rewarding. And it all comes down to, of course, money, but it mostly comes down to your products. It goes back to the frameworks, the systems of sustainability. So if you're in for the long game, definitely that's something that would definitely be viable, I would say. And not so much more for the money, but more so even from a philanthropic and a humanitarian standpoint as well. Goodwill. So that's just my perspective.
Mr. Gibson, you as a tech man who I know Yidi is talking about philanthropic, and guess what? to be philanthropic, you got to have the resources. You have the knowledge now. You see now we have identified the gaps in Liberia. We know where the services need to be. We know where the money is. You as a IT person who knows how to produce, why don't take advantage of the situation and be wealthy that you can give back to the folks? Because when I work with the United Way, there's a group here out of Florida that developed handheld gadgets for poor children in Kenya, Nairobi, and it was powered by solar. Way in the interior, they do these small gadgets, and they use it for school. So why not, Mr. Gibson, come here with something similar in Liberia? That millions of those you produce, the UN will pay you, the EU will pay you. You can make a lot of money. Then you take some of that money and put it back into philanthropic. What's holding you back?
I think ultimately, one of the biggest challenges will always be the lack of buy-in, right? When we talk about investing in something, you look at the viability. If I were to say I want to enter into a country where it's gone through a prolonged civil war, they're in the rebuilding stages, but particularly when it comes to the education sector alone, the people that are sitting at the table are not invested in certain things in terms of knowing how to understand that, there are certain things that goes into education. We have to start thinking and that we have to adapt. You see Nigeria, like you mentioned, Kenya, all these countries are really investing within the overall tech system of their countries so their students can be able to advance. So it starts with the overall buy-in from every possible stakeholder. I can come in with a great idea, but will it survive? Will it be sustained? I don't think so. Until you have that buy-in from the people who are in those decision-making seats, I can bring all of that stuff, right? But those, ultimately the softwares, who will be able to teach that to the students? Because that's more money that I would have to spend. If I'm saying, let me turn it over to the Ministry of Education to have them do it, but they don't even think it's necessary, or they might not even know how to go about doing it. You can spend a lot of time also trying to teach it in Monrovia, but also you have to look at the fact that decentralization is super important for this to be sustained long term. So there's a lack of decentralization that's taking place, a lack of buy-in from stakeholders, both on the government and non-government side when we talk about it. And there's also a lack of overall interest in people trying to really go into a country where the work is not already being done. Because that's a lot of things that investors will look at. Is work already being done? What's the buy-in? What do I get out of it? Because at the end of the day, you can't just go into something and expect to gain a lot of or yield a lot of results when nothing has been done. So I'll be starting from ground zero. It wouldn't be a bright thing to go in by myself solely, or to bring investors in to where it's like, well, they're going to ask me, what am I going to get back? What's the return on investment? So all those things are very important. If we don't have if we don't have decentralization taking place, so where the people in the very rural parts of Liberia can actually learn about these things in school, the children, but we're teaching in Monrovia. Monrovia is not Liberia. So those things are very important. We have to have the education system, the people who are ministers, who are going and sitting with people to produce textbooks. You should be sitting with people who are producing softwares. So also understand, how can we go ahead and also introduce Liberian IT people, right? You have Willie, who is also doing the work. You have Masa, who's doing the work for the young girls. Are they being brought to the table to discuss? Because they're the stakeholders as well. So all those things are very important. You have to bring stakeholders to the table, understand the importance of the Ministry of Education, stepping up to the plate, and understanding how can we adapt and change to the world around us. We don't want to be left in the dark ages. It's one thing for a student to have a smartphone, but they don't even know how to properly use it. So all those things need to be invested in.
Uh,
Yeah, I
Raquel,
think yeah, yeah.
go ahead, Willie.
Let me just add on to my brother Gibson. So I think we can only have that being achieved because we have three institutions that is responsible for IT activity in our country. And these three institutions are the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunication. They serve as the policy arm of the sector. We have the Liberia Telecommunication Authority, that is LTA. They are the regulator of the sector, and we have the Liberia Telecommunication cooperation with telco. They are the national operator of the sector. They are responsible to provide internet connectivity to all government ministry agencies and commission lab. So yes, you have these three institutions that have one thing in common: telecommunication. So nowadays, how many people doing postal activities? Why can't you dissolve the entire Ministry of Post and Telecommunication, make the Postal Affairs as an agency, and establish a Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation? With that, we can achieve a lot. But we can still
Mhm.
keep using Charlie King Time Ministry of Post and Telecommunication. How many people doing postal activity now a day across the world? So the only way Liberia can bridge the gap, we have to leapfrog. And in order to leapfrog, we have to dissolve the whole Ministry of Post and Telecommunication and have an institution that is dedicated especially for IT activity across the country. With that, I believe we can bridge the gap and compare ourselves to, if not Nigeria is close to us, we talk about Rwanda, we talk about Ghana, and you just name them. Thank you.
Ms. Weeks,
Yeah.
you the developer here. We know, like in the United States, and Raquel will back me up. You can come in anytime, Raquel. We are talking about people who do things outside of government. We believe that once you provide the product and the market is there, you don't need government. And I gave you an example of the gadgets that were developed here in Florida by some Kenyans to back home. They didn't need government approval. They went over there. They did door to door. That listen, if you buy this software, your child's math is going to improve, and this is why. And people, regular folks, began to buy those things in the millions. They didn't have government. They didn't go anywhere, and the government adapted to the reality. It looks like we're doing it backward here. We're asking the government to get involved, to be partner. We are talking about pure entrepreneur like Raquel, come in with a software or a gadget that says, listen, I'm taking my kids directly to the people. I have a software that will help your child. It's waterproof. You can drop it. Children can play with it. You tap one and one, it will tell you two, and all that. These are things that are innovation that is taking over the world. What are you doing as a software developer? What are your needs to make sure you break through?
Okay. You see, as a software developer or as an IT person in the field of technology as well, there to be able to encourage young women and girls to take up STEM career. That's one. Two, if I'm there to serve as a mentor for you to be able to um, get to your career, reach to your career education level, then definitely I'm there to be able to support you. So with that, I was able, like I said first, I was able to come up with Girls in Tech Liberia, where we are bridging the gender gap in tech and encouraging more women to embrace technology. Secondly, I also opened my company called MSoft Tech, where we are developing softwares, websites for businesses to be able to boost their markets or whatever they're selling on the internet or technology platform. So, getting government involved, one, you have to be able to register your business where government can be able to you can be able to pay taxes and people get to take you serious in what you're doing. So for me being in this field, I'm giving my own little support and own little contribution towards this particular sector by empowering women. That's one. Two, and also by making businesses to be able to go viral or getting softwares for them to be able to enhance their business futures. So,
Great. Raquel, back to you.
Um. Oh, can you say that question again? I was listening so attentively, I forgot the question.
Oh no, I think you're my co-host. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I forgot I'm playing both sides.
Yes.
No, it actually, I feel like that's beautiful, and we all come from different backgrounds. We share different perspectives, and we can see through different lenses of how technology is important, and more so the development, the dev phase is so important. And somebody commented, Ezekiel actually commented, he says so much money to be made, so much. Yeah, it's actually true. It's so many opportunities. There are challenges, but there are opportunities. So when we talk about the challenges, what do you guys feel about these opportunities? What are the opportunities? And then also, what is that call to action when we talk about these opportunities that we can actually implement um, now, if not now, later in the near future, I would say. Um, Willie, I'll pass it to you, bro.
Sorry, what's the question again, please?
Yeah, so I'm saying we talked about the challenges, right,
Okay.
of ICT and technology in Liberia, but I want to talk about the upside, the opportunities. What are some of the opportunities, right, that we have currently right now or in the near future that we could potentially have? What are those opportunities? And then what is that call to action? Whether it's from us, from an individual standpoint, um, from our teachers, from our ICT professionals, in any way, what is that call to action that we can actually do right now to implement those opportunities?
So I think one of the first things that needs to be done is collaboration, because once you collaborate, even the issue of software development, you have a front end developer and you have a back end developer. You also have a graphic guy. So in order to seek an opportunity or implement a project to secure an opportunity, there should be a collaboration first. Once that collaboration is being done, because Liberia is a virgin country to technology, so a lot of opportunities out there. For example, someone just made a comment saying you can design an online platform where you sell courses. But mind you, of course that can be done, but internet connectivity is one of the worst thing. The internet is very costly in the country. So the first basic thing that needs to be done is about building the capacity through having the physical school yet, like IT schools, like short-term programs before you move to online. After we shall have had internet connectivity affordable and accessible to us. I think with that we can tap on the possible opportunity for the collaborative effort of every other IT professional.
Collaboration, beautiful. Thank you. William?
Yes. So when it comes to the opportunities, um, before I even get to that point, right, I have to differ a little bit in terms of the statement that government doesn't have to buy into it. At the end of the day, we're talking about information and communications technology. That's the whole premise of this conversation tonight, right? And when we talk about that, ICT, information and communications technology, plays a vital role in fighting poverty, combating diseases and other health problems, and accomplishing better educational outcomes. So it can't be a sole person. The government has to be at the table and taking an investment in this. It can't just be the IT professionals wanting to come in and do something. The government, you have to go through government to even register anything, right? So government has to play a role at the table, whether we like to say that or not. I believe the stuff speaks for itself, right? Records are out there, data's out there to back that up. When we talk about opportunity, there's a lot of opportunities there. There's people who are getting degrees, who are going back home, who's doing the work. There's a lot of tech startups, a lot of innovators in the country. I think it's very important for them to be able to find funding to continue to push software development, to partner with universities, excuse me, whether private entities or whatever it might be, to push their softwares out there in order for them to make a return on their own investment. For the work to be done, you have to be able to have money. You have to have backing. So you can't just continue to create softwares, but nobody's buying into it. It's pretty much saying your system is useless, right? It's saying that you're doing all these things, you're getting this degree, but your degree is not being utilized. You're not utilizing anything because there's no buy-in from the people who are going to be wanting to buy your software to put into these schools. So that's first and foremost an opportunity. You have the people who are doing the work on the ground already. The opportunity is also to work with other entities, whether it's another country that's leading the strides on the western side of Africa, working with them. There's a lot of opportunities there for NGOs to step up to the plate and to also force government as well to pay attention to the fact that you all need to be just as invested as these students who are coming back and wanting to play a role in pushing the future of IT. When we look at the mobile revolution as of 2021, Africa has witnessed a mobile revolution with the number of mobile phone users surpassing 1 billion. 1 billion. Let's just ponder on that for a minute. 1 billion, over 1 billion people are using smartphones on the continent. But how many of those individuals know how to use a computer? How many of those individuals have been introduced to how to use a software properly to educate themselves? So we have to look at all those things, but I'll stop there for now.
Great.
Okay,
One of the
so
yeah,
yeah.
ma'am,
So
I really
let me just come in with
yeah.
some of
Go
the
ahead.
opportunities.
Go ahead.
Okay, some of the opportunities in Liberia when it comes to the tech industry. So let's look at social impacts, right? The tech industry in Liberia has a significant opportunity to create social impact by addressing local challenges and providing solutions to improve the lives of our citizens here. So let's take, for example, the tech-based solutions can be developed to improve the healthcare, the education, the agriculture, the financial services in our country here. So also look at youth engagement can be an opportunity too. Liberia has, we have a lot of young people. The population for young people are many, and then the opportunity to engage in empowering youth in technology, it should be one of the key things that we should focus on. People also have initiatives that focusing on digital literacy, coding, education, entrepreneurship, and things like that that youth can be able to take advantage of these opportunities. And I also want to talk about e-commerce and fintech. So you find out that with the increase of the internet penetration and smartphone usage, there is a huge growing opportunity for e-commerce and the fintech company in Liberia here. So all of these areas have opportunities that people can be, or young people like us can be able to take advantage of.
Great. One of the things you talk about tech in agriculture. You know, the trend now. The trend now is agriculture, agriculture, agriculture. The whole world, the UN, everything is now agriculture. So you, as a tech person, how can you harness or tap into this major funding? It's so big that I gave two scholarships to my nephews at the University of Liberia. Don't do sociology, don't do political science, go do agriculture, and they're in their third year, and I'm so proud of them. That's how important this is. So how can you use tech to affect agriculture outside of government? Because I have a small farm. How can you help me with your tech? I'm into cocoa and rubber. How your tech can help me ease my burden in agriculture?
Okay, so let me make a point before the senior developer can come in. All right, so I can design my e-commerce platform because let's look at some of the challenges first. You have this farmer that resides in Lofa, there where you have your farm, and then
Well, I
Yeah,
think we're talking, you're having sidebar
I'm in
conversation.
Basel. I got my farm in Basel, so address
okay,
me. Don't go to
you
Lofa,
have your
go to
farm.
Basel.
Yes, yes, thank you. You have your farm in Basel, and let's look at the remote part of Basel, right?
Yes.
And then you have this fresh palm oil that a farm has produced. How can you have this farm produce being advertised to Slunty, to Massa, to someone somewhere there at the central bank that does not have the time to go to Gobacho market So you can sit right there in Grand Bassa County and have your fresh palm oil being advertised on Massa e-commerce platform. With that, once you have goods or like a fresh palm oil, like a fresh banana, like a plantain, there is no need to go look all around. So you can sit right in Bassa there and have your farm produce being advertised online. With that, Massa is gaining from her development from a software that's been developed, e-commerce software. Likewise, you are benefiting from the sales of your produce. You getting me? So you do not need to take that 1 week to have that product being brought to town, take it to go back to your market, pay another person, and what have you. Before that time, your goods gonna get expired or you're gonna spoil within the warehouse. But if you can have or an effective e-commerce platform that is user friendly, very responsive, anybody can sit anywhere and have access to your farm produce in real time. That goes to the same as e-health. I recall sometime in 2014 when Liberia and other neighboring countries encountered the deadly Ebola virus. The few medical practitioners who had in the country, they all decided not to go to work. They were all afraid. So there is this e-health Africa, like in they had an office Oro Junction there. They designed the e-health software wherein a patient can interact with a doctor in a real time. So, for example, if Jason is the patient, Massa has this software that Slunty is the doctor. Jason doesn't want Massa doesn't want to go to the hospital to work because her fear is that okay, she might be on her way and something happened to her. You just name it. So she rather sit at her house. Massa has this system. Massa now can link this doctor or Gibson to this system. And then in real time, Gibson can have his prescription from the doctor just in real time. And that helps to save a lot. It save time, it save resources, and it save or let's say a lot. So it seems goes to the farmers and that of the consumer. So you having an e-commerce platform, you the farmer can sit in Grand Bazaar, have your produce advertised on Master e-commerce, and other consumer can take real time and just go there and have your produce being bought using the e-commerce platform.
Raquel, back to you. Co-host.
Oh, no, e-commerce is a great way to scale. Um, I think scalability from that point and even on a global market, from a global market standpoint, that e-commerce platform, let's say one of our devs, Masa, would, create or will create, could create so much potential for exposure and expansion. So I definitely agree that those are some of the things that we can actually do now to actually create that change and produce results because it's duplicatable, it's sustainable. It's something that would be able to be adaptable. These are some of the three things that I feel that we would need to actually cultivate growth in all aspects of growth. Another thing is when you talk about growth from an entrepreneur standpoint as well, what are some of the things, the tangible things we could do as far as technology that we could implement from, private sector standpoint? If we had somebody, for example, coming in that wanted to invest, because we are an agrarian economy, our economy is agriculture based. So if there's a product that was developed in-house, if we had a plant, if we had people to assemble and put together a product that we have that was in-house that could, and I'm talking, and I know it's possible because I'm potentially talking to some investors that have interest in it as well, called under non-disclosure Blue Technologies. But I say that to say, if they have a product, you have a certain type of technology that it can increase the shelf life of whatever product that you have, whatever a farmer has, and it was created, let's say, for instance, in Lofa, they had a plant in Lofa, and there's people that could actually put that technology together to increase the shelf life that would actually purify water. So it's a water purifier. They could put they would not only is it creating jobs, they'll put the and assemble the product together, but you take that product out and it could purify the water for the soil to cultivate and grow the soil, cultivate and clean, clean our lakes, clean our lagoons, clean our where the pigs drink, the animals drink, to increase shelf life by like a 30%. These are some of the things that the tangibles that we need in terms of technology and equipment, that would help push our agriculture sector way farther and get us in competition and get us on the world stage to compete against a Ghana or a Nigeria or a Cote d'Ivoire, and even in Africa at large. So not only from the e-commerce, technology phase, hardware, software, but more so the tangible physical product as well, in terms of getting that product and technology inside Liberia.
Okay,
Great.
so Mr. Gaben,
Hmm.
and another means that you or farmers or those who find themselves into agricultural activities again is by having your own e-agro platform. So if you do not have a website for your farm, you can now contact Master now. That Master develop you one. Because if you are seeking for grain out there, do not want to see what you are doing. Do not have time to go to Grand Bazaar to go check your farm. But do not to ask for the URL of your farm to see what are those things you are planting on your farm. So if you do not
Yeah.
have website for your farm now, I think it's prudent enough. If you are taking on securing grain from donors, I ask that you get a master or either of the team members here to develop one platform for your e-agro or for your agricultural activities in Grand Bazaar. That's another
Yeah,
means to
so
secure.
let's look at the agriculture in technology, right? Let's see some of the ICT tools that we talk about when it comes to agriculture. Let's look at geographical information system. It's called GIS, and also the remote sensing technology. This technology enable farmers to gather and analyze data on soil quality, water resources, crops health. It does all of that. And this is a data driven approach that will help optimize resources, the use of waste management, and increase of agriculture productivity. And let's look at the mobile application and SMS based platform tool for farmers. It also helps farmers to be able to deliver information correctly. It also helps farmers to sell their information on the mobile apps, and you can access valuable information on crops cultivation, pest management, weather forecast, the price of your product, and a lot more that you can do with technology when it comes to agriculture.
Great. Now, one of the things that is very important to me, I got three girls. I got a twin girls. I got twin girls, and then I got another girl. So we mean success in everything. We know they don't like math. It's not that they don't like math, but from early childhood, we have not prepared them. So when they get to elementary school, middle school, high school, because they will eventually fail it repeatedly, so they don't like it because they don't have success at it. So in the West, what they have done is that they have started at a very young age on an even playing field with girls and boys in the STEM system. What can we do in Liberia, okay, to encourage girls to be like Miss Weeks, to be like Raquel, the two guys we know, guys are into this. What can we do to encourage more girls, most of our girls, to be enthusiastic about the numbers, eventually into high tech?
Yeah, so for me, I'm already setting an example by encouraging them by opening this organization. It's a non-profit organization, Girls in Tech Liberia, where it's tuition free. You come and learn some computer skills, basic computer skills, and get you involved into the real world, and also teach you some technology skills that you can be able to work somewhere or have a business for yourself tomorrow. So I'm already have started and I'm involved into it, and I'm praying to expand to other counties that other women in those rural areas can also take benefit of this that I'm carrying on, this initiative that I'm carrying on. So that's
Mr.
one.
Gibson, thank you. Mr. Gibson, in the
Yes.
United States, when we say people don't value what they don't pay for, so everything, I know her heart is in the right place. She wants to do it free, but we know she has to put food on her table. She has to pay staff. She got to keep the light on. She need transportation. All of these things need money. Why solely nonprofit? Why solely nonprofit and not a combination of both?
Well, I think with nonprofit, were you about to say something, Masa? Or was
Yeah,
somebody?
for
Okay, go ahead.
continuing.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so when you say totally free, it's not just totally free,
Okay.
but it is there to be able to at least cut down costs.
Yes, that's
Those that don't have that money to be able to go to university or maybe some technical college and pay that tuition, so they don't have, and the organization is there to be able to provide that service for you where you can be able to pay a little as registration that will
hmm
be able to sustain the organization. So
that's
it's
correct.
tuition free, but at least before you enter, you have to be able to pay a little registration fees like $25, so the organization can be able to pay its staff, operational costs, and a lot more.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah, Gibson, go ahead. Take a stab at
Yes. Okay. So when it comes to nonprofit, I think like, so I guess she already answered the question in a sense. She did say like, you make money up front and
it.
then it's
Hmm.
still able to sustain itself. But I think, the importance of nonprofit and the work that they do is you ultimately get funding through the grants that you apply for. And then also if you're doing like my side is doing where you have people pay to start, but they're not paying to stay in the program. They're just paying to, to get started, but ultimately the grants is what they rely on to keep the organization afloat. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, nonprofits. There are some organizations that do for profit when they have a large audience that's willing to pay. Because honestly, anything dealing with teaching is expensive. So you have to have people who are willing to pay such an exorbitant amount to
Mm-hmm.
even want to enroll their students or their children, I should say. So,
Mm-hmm.
for that matter, I think it's smart to go the nonprofit route to where you're able to cut the cost of how much a student will have to pay to enroll, and then you're still able to get access to that funding. So it's hand in hand.
Raquel, you the businesswoman here. I got two requests here for scholarships, and one of the girls want to go to some school they call Blue Crest. I don't know what that is, but I did
Mm-hmm.
a little background check and found Wave Crest or Blue Crest, something like that.
Bluecrest
Yes, I
is
think
a
it's a
Blue,
university in Liberia.
right.
yeah, blue.
Either they are Nigeria or Indians. We are
Yes.
talking about foreign folks coming into our homeland and charging exorbitant fees and being very successful. And here we are, qualified women, qualified people like her, and they are
Mm-hmm.
going. We are forcing her to do nonprofit to do it for cheap. Why they take their money and give it to these people and they come into our hometown and come
Mm-hmm.
become millionaires in maybe a year or two? So you
Right.
as a businesswoman, what can you do to partner with her to make sure that we kind of get rid of that mentality that we spend locally, support local things, do our thing locally, and restore our wealth locally. What can we do? You as a businesswoman, what can you do? What can you guys do to collaborate to partner to make that happen?
So
Mm-hmm.
let me come in, Slunty. Sorry, before you can come in, please. So the first question to Masa that has to do with the shortage of girls in IT in
Mm-hmm.
Liberia or globally. So I think this is not just a problem that affects Liberia alone, but it's a global problem. So what we need to do first, we have to make them understand that no, come on, IT is a professional field that any other person can penetrate to, and it has different specialty. So the reason why you find out that most girls find interest in nursing because nursing is being advertised. Where you find nurses wearing attire, especially in Nigeria, I don't know about other countries because there is no career
Yeah, but
development.
but sorry, but mind you that any field you enter, there's technology.
Yes,
That's
I know
true.
it goes
That's very
technology goes
true.
across every sector of our knowledge-based economy. I know about that. But for Liberia, since there is no career development program, you find out that people are being influenced by what they see. So once I go to the bank today, I found out the cashier look good and he well
Yeah,
dressed, everything.
beautiful.
I feel that he has all of the money. So end of the day, as soon as I graduate, I go to do banking and finance in university. I go to JFK hospital, find out that this nurse here, she looks good. End of the day, I want to do nursing because I feel that nursing attire are good. So in order to win more people over in IT, we should first do awareness and understand that no, if you go to networking, you may have to do some netting where you have basic network and some basic mathematics and some netting. In software engineering, you are doing basic mathematics in algorithm and programming. In cybersecurity, you have to go across basic all of the IT program. So you could go and do digital marketing as well. They fall on IT. So you
Mm-hmm.
basically do not need to have mathematics skills. So for the issue of why Liberians are not going to their own and paying money in Bluecrest, in Stars, in this, Mr. Gateman, the problem about it is that the reason why we find more people going into these places. I used to be one of the lecturers at Bluegrass University. I taught Bluegrass University for 2 years. So you find out that people do more branding, they do more marketing. And what if you understand, master institution will give you more hands-on than what Bluegrass you think Bluegrass is going to offer you. Bluecrest are not going, the institution is not going to give you full hands-on as compared to what Master is going to give you. Like I said earlier, the IT program is not about degree. That's the reason why you go to the job environment. You prefer people who have certification, like CCNA, Security Plus. You have CEH, you have CISSP. So all of these professions, all of these certifications, but after 3 years it gets expired, you have to renew. So most of the big companies like Microsoft, you not find some of PhD, Microsoft going after some of PhD though. You not find UNDP going after some of PhD though. Some of masters though. They go with someone who has CCNA, CEH, and the basic specialty. If they want you for security purpose, they go for security plus or CISSP. If they want you for networking purpose, CCNA, CCNP, and you just need them. So if we utilize the basic training skills, there are a lot of institutions that offer the basic certification program. So Masa is there doing her thing with her institution. The reason why people are not going there to her because Librarian does not like their own thing. You getting me? Librarian does not like their own thing. So if we can utilize that, trust me, Bluegrass University students pay 1,250 per month, 4 months rather. After every 4 months, you pay that money. You getting me? Stars, Skies of Science and Technology, you pay $20 per hour, per credit hour. The United Merit University students paid $40 per credit hour. You getting me? So it was just recent we started advocating for the the implementation of IT department within the state run university before they brought in IT program within the state run university. Now they offering degree in 3 professions. That is computer science, data science, and cybersecurity. So this one semester was the first semester. This coming semester, the second semester for the state run university to start offering IT program. So I think what we need to do in order to have our own thing being prioritized is to do more awareness and start to believe in what we have. Because in the very same Bluegrass University, that the same librarian you have teaching them. You find the same librarian teaching the very small schools. You find one man teaching Bluegrass University, teaching stars, carriers of science and technology, even teaching at the verification institution. So we first need to believe in ourselves and know what we have for our people, and then the people start to believe in themselves. Because enemy will not give you how to look at everything, but our librarian will give you how to look at everything. But I feel like my librarian brother will use that skills to alter the narrative for our country than that Indian person. Thank you.
Great. We got 10 minutes here. Raquel, you're my co-host here. You take the next 5 minutes and then 3 minutes, and then we'll go two, two, two. Let's do the closing. You are all about awareness. You are about entrepreneurship. I want you to tell me about your vision, where you are, where you intend to be. I know the entrepreneur, the philanthropic part of it is at the end. If you don't have anything, you can't give anything back. So tell me where you are, what the vision is, and where I look to see you 5 years from now.
Great, great, great. No, thank you for that. So I think where I am right now, because I started an organization called the A Crowd, the Aesthetic Crowd. I started here in Atlanta, so it was birthed here. The Aesthetic Crowd stands for the appreciation of art and artists, meaning us as individual creators of our own reality, and an artistic movement. So everybody has something that they're passionate about. And the three pillars that the A Crowd focuses on is media entertainment, entrepreneurship, and leadership, essentially. My future outlook in terms of perspective of technology, when it comes down to technology in Liberia, because there are different dynamics from here, obviously, in Liberia. Um, to hit all three aspects in all three pillars, my future outlook is to see an inclusive, collaborative Liberia with access. Accessibility is everything, meaning access to more resources, access to more funding. Um, and I feel like once you have access to funding, you can obviously have access to resources, and you can even expand and leverage your resources. So the reason why the organization wasn't as sustainable was, of course, at the time when I launched it, I was failing forward. We were successful here in Atlanta. We had many of networking opportunities, digital marketing seminars, artist showcases, leadership summaries and conferences, interviews with successful artists and everything. And those same implementations that I had here with my success during the time that I had the A Crowd, I want to see that success in Liberia, and even more, invest more in my country. So I think in terms of the future outlook for me is being able to have the A Crowd, the Aesthetic Crowd, as a hub of an entrepreneurship hub, essentially, for entrepreneurs in every aspect and every industry. And then also on the second part of that, and what makes us different and stand out is to provide the access to those funds and those resources. And it's in progress right now. I know me and Willie are kind of working on something. We got something spicy coming up. I'm going to definitely collaborate with Masa. And that's what we really stand for, the A Crowd. It's essentially a crowd of young people that are like-minded, that have different ambitions, aspirations, are in different fields, but we come together to promote unity, promote leadership and entrepreneurship, and essentially camaraderie. So that's my future, is providing access to funding to actually help my brothers and sisters in any industry that they have, and using that as a leverage for them to expand.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions for either one of our guests, the number is on the screen. You can call and we'll take your calls. We will answer any of the questions as much as we can. Now let's go to Gibson. In your closing here, you know the story about Microsoft, how they came about. They didn't need government. They were a group of guys from the university that got together and said, we have a vision. Let's do this. Let's change the world. And they did. Here we are. You young folks, you are vibrant. You are energetic. You are knowledgeable. What are you doing to collaborate to change Liberia, to make a difference? I mean, like President Ellen Johnson used to say, if your dream doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough. What big dream you have that is going to change Liberia? What is big? What is big that we say, you know what? They hit it. It's like an asteroid. They hit Liberia and change the education system through technology. Every child in every village has something that once the sun is shining, they're online. It's everywhere. Talk to us.
Thank you. I think ultimately for that, I can have big ideas all day, right? but I need investors who will be at the table who will be able to take a risk. And also,
Mhm.
before I even enter into taking a risk with anything, right, there has to be an infrastructure built. Before you go into a country, there's checks and balances. There's a lot of things you have to go through to even get to that point of being successful as a startup anywhere. Microsoft, the very Microsoft that we talk about that has all these different softwares that people use to this day, government, what do you call it, played a role in streamlining some of those things, and government even uses some of those products now. So it's a buy-in of stakeholders all around the table, whether we like to think about it that way or not. So ultimately, when we think about it, you need to have investors in order for your dream to succeed. You need to have the proper infrastructure already put in place, or at least it's starting up to where you feel like it's good enough to take a risk. Because when you take risks, you gain high rewards.
Excuse me, Gibson, but what is that dream? Because listen, government or because I was in the grant business, giving out money through the United Way. You got to come to me with a dream and say, this is the product that I have and it can work. Remember, there are thousands of people coming for the same amount of money. So you got to develop that dream, that product that catches everybody's eyes and say, yes, we will invest in it. They're not just coming to the table because it's Gibson. You have to bring something that is unique.
Absolutely, which is why I keep pushing on the point of infrastructure in place, right? I can have an idea and take it to you have to think about it in this way. In America, before they even provide you funding, you have to have a whole pitch before they even provide you anything. So we're talking about a country like Liberia, where the people who are in those seats making the decisions don't understand the basic things like we've been talking about this entire time. How can I possibly enter into that space and push them to go ahead and see something my way when they rather go ahead, like Willie said, push a foreigner over their own? So we have to identify the ills of that before you can even talk about me coming in and trying to have my dream. My dream can die immediately when I go and I have to face a room of people who are like, oh no, we need to go with this person because we have a connection with X, Y, and Z. That entire ill of the system is what needs to be deprecated in order for us to introduce a new system in place to where people who, like myself, have a lot of lofty dreams of bringing education in software and teaching children how to operate certain machinery and things like that to Liberia. You have to have a buy-in from the people who are quote unquote relying on the old systems. Ew, this is my buddy, you scratch my back, I scratch yours in order to get something moving. In America, that's not the case. Everything is on an equal and level playing field. In our nation, Liberia, whether we like to believe it or not, or even speak on it, there's this thing of, if you are not in this position and I'm not benefiting from it, I will not buy into it. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Ms. Weeks, before I go, well, no, let me go to Willie because he way in Cyprus before he goes off. Willie, talk to us about what is that big deal in tech that a few weeks ago we had a young lady here. She's a Mandela Fellow. She came up with a brilliant idea, something it was very simple that we all know about, but nobody thought about it. She said, I identify a gap in Liberia where there are girls who have never gone to school. They are pre-literate. They're not illiterate, but pre-literate. That means they have not even learned the ABC. So I'm going to target that group to bring them up to literate. That's how you go. Very simple. I'm not here to create PhD and all that. My job is these women that cannot read, they don't know ABC, to bring them up to first grade level. That's my job. And all of a sudden, the light bulb went on in everybody's head. So, wow, there's, and then when you look at the number, there's a huge swath of people that we have left out. So you see how one person think about it. I was so impressed that I bought a laptop. Immediately, I gave her one. And there were somebody on the show that gave her a 1 year free subscription in IT and data. This is something we talk about innovation, finding gaps, something that nobody ever thought about. Women girls that never went to school before can't read, they're out there. My job is to make sure that they learn the ABC 1 to 1,000, can read, can do this, do that. That's all she wants to do. And it's a hit. Go ahead, Willie. What is your dream? What is this thing that you have in IT that the light bulb would just come up and say, this is it?
All right, uh, slowly are working on something that you said, and also one of the issue I've seen, it has to do with the breach between the digital gap between those that reside in Monrovia and the rural places in terms of IT education. So what I've been working on is that wherein we have the Universal Access Fund towers. The Universal Access Fund is for under the Liberia Telecommunication Authority, and they are responsible to provide internet connectivity and voice calls for those that are for them that find themselves in the unserved and unserved areas. Unserved and unserved area are people who do not have access to internet connectivity, meaning no cell tower cannot reach them, Orange Labrador tower cannot reach them. So by default, people within that area are not part of we that benefiting from technology. So the Universal Access Fund have decided to plant towers in these places to get connection from KNet in Ghana using satellite. So if in Grand Bassa, somewhere in Grand Bassa, that no cell connection cannot reach, Orange Liberia connection cannot reach, we're not talking about the national operator of our country IT sector, the telco, because that Wi-Fi said it's not really reaching anywhere, right? So the government, like bro, through the ITU, with funding from the ITU, have decided to invest in the Universal Access Fund. And when I was in Liberia, I was one of the implementing members for the Universal Access Fund, wherein we came to an agreement to craft a document targeting the 15 counties, beginning with Pelican in Grand Creek County, where you have this executive speaker county in the district. Because in that place, you have people that do not even have access to basic things that have to do with internet connectivity, computer knowledge, and digital media. So since we have these towers in these places, what I'm intending to do is to have a computer lab subscribe in terms of electricity. I'm going to subscribe for Natal in terms of internet connectivity. I'm going to subscribe for Natal as well for Kidnet. So we just have a mini computer lab wherein we do trainer, wherein we go there, train like two persons, and that two persons can serve as the eye for that hub where we can have people trained about basic computers within that place because Mali Monrovia is not Liberia. And now the Universal Access Fund project have targeted two remote places, and these two remote places are the center points of the rural counties. So within that, if you can build a tower just in a point on the tower, on the you build a computer lab on the tower there, it will help to bridge the gap. So that's one thing that I've been working out on, and I'm thinking on. I've been in communication with the commissioners for Universal Access Fund, or the director for Universal Access Fund, Israel Akisanya, and that of Elijah Glade on that project. And rest assured, I'm intending to go back to Liberia by this month. When I get back, we're going to get started with that. And then they're going to give me the roadmap for the first point the team to start with in Pelican because district number 2 in Grand Creek County, there where they build the first tower, and they have all agreed that okay, fine, I'm going to subscribe in terms of getting electricity, and we're going to subscribe for solar panel, and then they also have a very big machine there that is feeding the tower, getting Wi-Fi connection to satellite for Ghana. So they're going to give me internet connectivity. They make a video for me or electricity as well, and then we can bridge the gap. Those people in the rural places, they need to be school. They need to know about technology. There where the money is. Farming got money. So how can we bridge the gap? Because everything is just being done right in Monrovia. So that's one of the things I've been thinking out on in order to give back to my country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Excellent. Ms. Weave, we saved the best for last. It's all yours. What do you want this platform and the world to know about what you're doing, and how can they help you take your product, your idea to, I don't want to say the next level, but to the stratosphere? Can you hear
Hello.
me? Can you hear me, Ms. Weeks?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, it's all yours.
Okay, so well, I'm already into, like I said earlier, women and girls. So I have two goals. though my vision is to see women empowered, to help educate them too as well. But then my goal set is by 2030, we want to see at least 10,000 women and girls get involved into technology. So, how are we going to do that? We are going to be able to spread in the various counties with the help of partners, donors, and grants. We are going to spread in the various counties where we can open your training centers to be able to train these women and girls to learn some computer skills. Also, in the near future as well, I'm also thinking about building a tech university where those that have the dreams to become an IT professional that want to pursue their career in STEM, they can be able to come to that university as well. And for that's for girls in tech. For MSoft Tech, my goal is to see all SMEs, small medium enterprise businesses, on the social media, having websites or having the software to solve a problem for one of their businesses. You find out that you go to Ghana, Nigeria, even in the US, if you want to buy anything, you just sit online, go to a platform where they sell things. You order for clothes, order for food, and food comes to you. And then the whole world is there digital. That those countries, that's what they just live in. But for Liberia here, we're not really taking that serious. When people have their websites and then they are selling on it, people prefer going to your shop to buy from you, because either they believe that either you scam them or you will take their money and don't be able to provide what they pay for. So they want to go to your shop. So those, because those are the challenges that people face, and also people feeling reluctant getting these websites or social media platforms for their to boost their own businesses. So for MSoft Tech, we're going to be able to impose that at least for all SMEs businesses, you should be able to have at least a visibility on the internet. And we're not going to charge you much. We are just going to charge you a little of amount where you can be able to afford to be able to get your business visible on the internet, where people can be able to see, people in Liberia and outside Liberia can be able to see your product, can be able to see your market, and also will also be able to talk to you about trust issues. You'll be able to help or provide services for one or two customers. You find out that other customers can be able to trust you. So
Thank you
that's
very
my
much.
future
Thank you.
goals.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the topic of digital transformation and disruption. Chat with all the young high tech folks in Liberia. To my left here would be your right is the digital right advocate, Mr. Willie B. Tamba Jr. And then we have from Liberia, we have Ms. B. Massa Weeks. She's the founder and CEO of Girls in Tech. And then we have Raquel right here in our own hometown, Atlanta, Georgia. She's an entrepreneur and aspiring philanthropist. Hopefully, she will be able to help me out someday. We pray that these people are successful. And then, last but not least, Mr. William Gibson. He's a high tech guru himself out of Houston. And they're all trying to partner. My prayer and my dream and um, my goal here is to encourage the young folks to partner, to collaborate. There's no one person that can do it. You can't do it all. This is why we sell IPO.
No.
Okay, we put our product on the stock market. We do crowdfunding. You gotta know about these things. Come up with the ideas. There are a lot of people out here who believe in what you are doing. There are 8 billion people anywhere. If 1.1 or 0.00001% believe in what you are doing, you get your funding. You have to think big. We have to partner. We cannot be doing everything solo. We can't do it by ourselves at all times. Sometimes partnership is good. Collaboration is good. The bigger we get, they will be afraid of us. But if you come together, Mr. Gibson, Ms. Weeks, Raquel, and Willie, you come together and form an institution, and you come into Liberia to do it. You will scare the blue crest
Blue
people.
Crest.
Because they know that you know what you're doing, and you coming together. And falling is not your fear. You will fall, you will get up, but you are determined. And I like what Masa just said. Her ultimate dream is to build a university to compete with these folks. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
We got something coming. Oh, sidebar.
That's correct. So listen,
we'll probably keep you up to it.
That's correct. So we look forward to you guys coming back here as often as we can talk to Mr. Jai. He would love to have you. We would love to do an assessment or review. Where are they now? We want to compare this segment to a year from now. How far you have gone with your goals and your dream, your obstacles and your successes. That's all it takes. You guys have to take this country back. The market is there. You have identified their gaps. Fill it in. Go ahead and do what you have to do. The future belongs to you. As always, we say, before we end our show, we are all Liberian. Whether you're from Grand Bassa County, you are from Lofa, you're from Monserrato, you're from Houston, or you're from beautiful Florida, we are all Liberians. Thank you very much, and God bless.
We are Liberians. Liberians.